Live your life within the moment, and don't go wait until the morning.
So this is our first stop of the day. We left Seabrook and drove not far, probably about an hour, and we are now in Billerica, which is I suppose the sister town of Billericay in Essex, where we live. They don't say Billerica apparently, it's called Billericay. They've changed the sort of pronunciation. Yeah, Billericay. So we're just going to have a little wander around because there's a historic society here, so we'll see if they've twinned us or sistered us. Yeah. Just found our first link to Billericay Way. Here's the first bit of history then. Goes back to the Revolutionary War, dedicated to 321 citizens of Billerica who answered the call to fight for independence from Great Britain. And there's 14 soldiers named. There you go. Nice little bandstand there. There you go. A couple of World War I and II memorials here. So we're in the town square at the moment, and as you can see, it's very pretty, busy. And we'll have a little wander around here and then try and find the historical society as well. But yeah, I suppose if you were looking for sort of old world New England, then this would be it. Because some of these buildings are definitely of that period. That's the library, which I would imagine at some stage was probably the town hall. And a very big ornate church with Doric columns. And of course a lot of their building influence came from Great Britain. And probably a little bit of French as well, I would imagine. Oh. There we go. What's that? Cannon from Civil War, 1861 to 1865, so... Is it barreled or smoothbore? Oh, it's a rifled cannon from the Civil War. Let's have a look what it says on this memorial. Gettysburg, Petersburg. Billericay to her heroes, grateful in recognition of steadfastness and purpose and devotion and principle, loyalty to country and trust in God, which enabled brave men to die for liberty and union. There goes a few named soldiers on that one. Just been to the library and spoke to Kathy, who's a local historian, telling us all about Billerica. Back in 1730s, Billerica was a massive area of townships. Cambridge is the big original sort of town, and then Billerica was outside of Cambridge, but they managed to get licenses to spread far and wide after finding this area to be habitable. And then, cutting a long story short, all the small towns broke off from Billerica, Woburn and I think Tewkesbury, places like that, and then was left with Billerica. So this South Cemetery is the earliest cemetery, dating back to about 1655. Obviously a lot of the headstones of sort of, you know, you can't read them all, but that one dates back to 1789, which in terms of the USA is quite old. And certainly if you're thinking about 1655, well, it wasn't much, only about 30 or 40 years earlier that people were landing at Plymouth. So yeah, quite interesting really. We have bought a book which tells of the founding fathers of Billerica. Many of them are here, so this one dates back to 1822, so it's a little bit later. And as you see, some of the headstones are just not readable. Now the interest in Billerica is simply because we're from Billericay. So someone left Billericay back in 1655 and decided to name their small town Billerica. Yeah, some of these headstones are really, really old. Yeah. Now this is an interesting gravestone. This is Lieutenant Simon Crosby, who departed life February the 2nd, 1771. So 5 years before independence was declared in the USA, and he was 82. So you do the maths, as they say. So he could well have been British, or he might have been born over here, but certainly it dates back to the 1600s. So he might have come over from England. But they seem to have had a good life, well into their 80s, a lot of these people, 90s, which when you think life expectancy in Britain at that time was probably not much more than about 60 years. So another one, 1776, so independence year. 76 years of age. Can't quite make out. Leslie, the body of Lieutenant William French. There you go, Lieutenant William French. There seems to be an awful lot of plaques, these plaques, 1776 plaques, so they are classed as veterans. Some of the earliest ones as well. Yeah, well, this name is this particular area of the cemetery is to the Baldwins, which just a quick glance at the book that we bought, I believe that they were part of the founding fathers or founding family, I should say, of Billerica. There's quite a few generations on that one. We also noticed the name Bowers in the town, so again, that seems to be quite an old name as well. So we're now in Salem, Massachusetts, which is, for those that don't know, it's famous for the witch trials back in the late 1600s. And this particular slot is where they hung the witches up on the mound. And there's a memorial to them all here. Don't forget men and women. Samuel Wardwell, Margaret Scott, Will McRed, and Puritan, Mary Parker, Alice Parker, who said Alice Cooper then, Mary Easty, Martha Corey, John Willard, John Proctor, George Jacob Sr., Martha Carrier, Reverend George Burroughs, Sarah Wilds, Rebecca Nurse, Susanna Martin, Elizabeth Howell, Sarah Good, and Bridget Bishop. You'll notice predominantly women as well. So we're now walking up the hill where the witches were hung on this piece of common land, which is the other side of the memorial. Yeah, they haven't changed it at all. Maybe it has some sort of spiritual significance. I don't know, when you hang witches, or just hang normal people and call them witches and more like. As I said, there were predominantly women, and when we spoke to Kathy in Billerica, it was just women who were outspoken, who were a little bit bold, who didn't do the normal things but stood up for themselves, and they were just deemed as witches. So there you go. Thank God it doesn't happen these days, although I think some people still believe that people who are outspoken should be punished. But there you go, around the world. That's my little comment for the day. Yeah, cool. Probably quite eerie in the at night, and probably a bit of a pilgrimage to some people, I would imagine. But yeah, quite an interesting place. So Anne's done her research and says that apparently this is the only steep piece of ledge or steep ledge in the whole of the mound, and this is where they threw the witches off from a tree. And actually, when you stand here, I've just there's some sort of a little coinage thing, like a mini wishing well, but not. So that must be significant. So other people have done their research as well. So this is obviously where the dirty deed happened. And I suppose you can see, yeah, it's a bit of a drop, commonly known as a dead man's drop. Yeah, quite high up, really. Just to prove that witchcraft is big business, isn't it? So here we are in Salem, Essex Street.
Can I get one with Daddy?
No, it just says it was created in memory of the loss of these 20 victims. You're fine, Shiloh.
Ah. It's like the home of a rebel. Oh, sorry, a patriot. It depends which side of the fence you're on.
Yeah.
There you go. But yes, meeting place of patriots before the American Revolution. A few redcoats would have kicked that door in, wouldn't they? Oh, that looked very spectacular building. Yeah. Purveyors of fine teas and candles and soaps. So now heading back to Essex Street and then heading back to the car and then our stop for the evening. So that was Salem. What do you think?
Well,
Well,
I'm overwhelmed. Lots of words.
I'm a bit witched out now. I said I can't deal with the irony though.
What's failed me?
Was it something about so many people hung, 200 people hung for witchcraft when they weren't witches, and now 400 years later they're celebrating that they were witches? Well, maybe not. I don't know.
I don't.
But they certainly like witchcraft here.
Whatever that is.
But anyway, heading back to the car and back to
Reality?
where we go. No, reality. That's a song, isn't it? Back to reality.
Yeah.
Now, where are we off to? Can't remember where we're staying. Now. Oh yeah, we're staying in Essex, and then tomorrow. Where are we heading tomorrow?
We've got the whole Mayflower thing. We're off to
Oh,
Plymouth.
yeah,
and
Plymouth.
the Cape.
Yeah, so we are going to the Cape, and we're going to see where the Pilgrim Fathers landed.
Oh, yeah, see you.
Yeah, Young Man's Christian Association, indeed it is. So we'll end the video now. If you've enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. A few more coming along. We'll speak to you later.